Hey everybody, welcome to another live question and answer, and we have a lot to cover today. A lot of exciting things today to talk about, but before I got going on what I usually do, let me start by saying the YouTube channel's doing great. We have 16,000 subscribers. I'm not sure what the latest number is, if Patrick's up to date on that, but I know we recently got to 16. And I think, I've talked to other people, including people who work at YouTube, believe it or not. Somebody came in the shop, worked at YouTube, was impressed with those numbers. And I know some people have 100,000, 200,000, whatever. But I think what's important is the content. I think they're hard-earned subscriptions. So please, if you're looking for the first time, subscribe to my channel if you like it. Even if you got one video and you fixed a button, we heard from somebody, we'll get to that saved a lot of money by one button being fixed on our YouTube channel. So I'd like to get into that a little bit, talking about that later. But also just regular business, the Facebook forum, slowed down just a little bit, but not in people asking to join, right, Jimmy?
No, people are still asking to join. I think that's a great thing.
And you're still okay and everybody pretty much, right?
I okay them at 5 in the morning or 5 in the afternoon.
Well, we appreciate that, Jimmy. Thank you for your administration. Jimmy's one of the best administrators we have. I'm afraid sometimes I'm not as quick as he is, so we appreciate that. So speaking of Jimmy, I guess the regular business is covered. I'm kind of excited, as you can see, Jimmy's chair on the online classes, and we're going to have him come up at the end of the question and answer. But I did want to mention something that Jimmy mentioned to me, and I just think it's timely. It's a great story. It's timely for this time of, Christmassy type story. And I was astonished when Jimmy told me this. I didn't.
It's only October.
What? What?
It's only October.
I know, but coming up, I was realizing, you guys are going to see this on the question and answer at least for another one time, right, Patrick? On a live question and answer, maybe twice you'll see this chair, and then by that time we're getting closer to Christmas anyhow. That's why I think of the
2 months ahead of time.
I think of the holidays starting in Thanksgiving, I guess, and before Thanksgiving.
Is there going to be a Christmas bonus this year? Okay, the hem and the horn. That says right
we
there.
have the platform shoes, I think. We're shopping for those.
Yeah. Penny candy bag again this year. Okay.
But anyhow, Jimmy gave me permission to talk, reluctantly, I have to say, about who the recipient of this chair is. So, can you shut that off, Patrick? Just pull the plug, Jimmy. Somebody, pull the plug. Sorry, that's Jimmy's ventilator. He's just pulled his own ventilator.
That's all right. So for the good of the show, that's what I always say. The good of the show. Yeah.
Call an ambulance.
Don't worry about it. You
sorry.
guys know how to dial 911, right? Hello, guys, hello?
See, I tell you,
That's not funny.
that's what type of a sport Jimmy is. I ask him to unplug his own ventilator, and what does he just does it right away. No, you guys, that was just a compress. I'm sorry. But we tease, we go back and forth, Jimmy and I. And sometimes he gets me, sometimes I get him, but it's good natured, and it's just the rapport we have together. And so he brought something up that I was astonished at, to be honest with you. He was talking about who the recipient of this chair that he's been working so hard. Let me tell you, I can tell you that the hours that he's put into it, from the stripping to this point here, I would have to estimate, if I estimated it, not including driving time to get here and everything else, his commitment to this chair has been enormous. I would say he's probably into this chair for about 30 to 40 hours of labor already. And that's astonishing. Think about that, you guys. That's like a whole week. So Jimmy, as you know, we've mentioned before, Jimmy works for a local transportation company, let's say.
You can tell who it is.
The MBTA in Boston, and you guys might know it if you're not from this part of the country. The most famous thing about the Boston MBTA would be the song "Charlie on the MBTA." You guys might be familiar with that, by the group. What was the name of the group, Jimmy? Paul and Mary.
Yeah, it might have been them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Dirty Water because I was at a Bruins game.
They sang that, but I think Peter, Paul, and Mary sang it also. Maybe I'm not sure who wrote it. I should have known, but anyhow. So Jimmy works at this place, and Jimmy is a great guy. I told you the story about how he saved somebody down there in a dramatic fashion from certain death, risking his own life. But then he told me, I couldn't believe it. I had to ask him twice. there was a woman who's homeless down at the T that Jimmy befriends the homeless. He tries to help them in his capacity. He tries to help them as much as he can. He took a liking to this woman, and he promised this woman this chair, because the woman was saying that, is that right, Jimmy, that she was going to get a house or something?
Well, she's getting an apartment, and she's going to get some furniture. I don't know what exactly she's going to be getting, but I said I'm working on a chair. If you're interested in, trying it out, and you want it for your living room or whatever area of your apartment it is, you're welcome to it.
Wow. You think about it, it's a great offer, and right now, currently, Jimmy can't find her. She's not.
Well, she's probably hanging around her apartment. I mean, considering that she's probably slept in a, I'm going to say a rooming house for the last couple of years. I think she's probably I like to think she's appreciating her newfound home, which I think is a great thing. So I hopefully will be in contact with her very soon, because I believe we're going to be done with this by very shortly.
Well,
So
I hope that the timing works out where you find where she's located, then you can bring it to her, or she could come somewhere and pick it up. But I think it would be a great ending to a story, and I appreciate that, Jimmy, and thank you very much for letting me tell that story. Jimmy didn't want me to tell. He was being modest, I think, which is good. You should be that way. I'm the big mouth that wanted to tell the story, so but I think it's important, because I think people are going to wonder what happened to Jimmy's chair. Did he take it? Does he do these? Does Jimmy do this chair for himself? Jimmy, I don't think you've done one chair for yourself.
I've got one chair. The one chair I did, yes. I wasn't expecting to hold on to it, but I did keep it from my living room. So now I've got 3 chairs and a sofa, and it's worked fine. It's good. It fills out the room. It makes it look nice.
But today, we'll have Jimmy come up later to talk about today's work. He really worked hard on this chair today, because we needed to get a little bit more done with the filming end of things, so that this chair will be available in the online classes. You guys should check it out. You want to watch Jimmy work, how hard he's working on a chair that he's going to donate to this woman who it looks like she's on her way up. She looks like she's in a point now, Jimmy, where things are working out good for her, right? So thank you for all that. We'll have Jimmy come up in a minute after we do our business, and have a couple of other segments. And this is a live question and
Sylvia
answer.
says hello. Lucas says hello.
Oh, hi, Sylvia.
Claire is here, and she says, "That's a great story, Jimmy."
I know. It almost makes it to be a Hallmark story, I guess. I don't know.
But a real life Hallmark, not made up. I suppose Jimmy probably gets into situations in his job down in the subway there, where he could ignore a lot, just do his job, and kind of what we call it in, as they say. But Jimmy's told me many stories over the years about how he's tried to help those people and that are homeless and less fortunate than himself. And I know that he wouldn't talk about it, and I will. So anyhow, let's get to the, thanks everybody, and thanks for joining us. We're going to get to the YouTube comments, Patrick. The first YouTube, this is a great subway. I have to
What?
I think Monday. I think we should switch the.
I meant to say I meant to say Segway, but I said, well, here's a nice subway.
Yeah.
But maybe it's still appropriate because it's about Jimmy. So with either words, Segway, Subway, would be Janine's first comment, and she says, "Thanks, great question and answer. Jimmy's chair is coming along nicely."
Speaking of that, I want to mention, I don't know if I said it last week, that I looked at Jimmy's settee class, and it's 23 lessons.
Whoa!
And then everybody knows a lot of content coming on that class. But,
when is that coming up?
maybe people could tell us, would they rather have it in 23 1-hour classes, or maybe we could shorten it down to, not shorten it, but put them into 2 a week. Maybe I'll do a poll, see what people want out of that class. If they wanted 2 lessons a week, if they wanted 23 weeks, which what's 23 weeks from, say we get it out in November? It takes you all the way to the spring.
March.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get their people who have already signed up for the online classes, like Janine
Yeah.
and Sylvia, I think too, and people like that need to comment about what they think about that, because
There's a lot of people waiting for this class, and I don't want to release it in 23 weeks if people maybe they don't have that much of an attention span. I don't want to wait that long.
well, my input would be this. Some of my favorite shows were, and everybody's favorite show growing up, 90s, was Seinfeld, Friends, and Everyone Loves Raymond. Shows like that. That was my thing, my age group. And I watch the reruns now, but we used to love the anticipation of Thursday night, right? Thursday night was the great night for television back in the day. I can't say that today. There's not any show. I watch reruns. I watch Andy Griffith reruns, for crying out loud. But the anticipation of the week to week, and I think out of Jimmy's own mouth, Jimmy said to me, Jimmy, would you mind talking about how you anticipate coming in here to do the filming? You said something to me about that. Anticipating coming in to do the filming, to do the class. Jimmy, do you remember? He's asleep.
No.
Well, I'll
My whole thing is remember, you're not following along with Jerry, trying to do the same stuff he's doing in Seinfeld. And this, someone might be following along with their own project. And then
That's
they get,
true.
23 weeks, I'm never going to get this done.
Yeah, that's true. I
You know what I mean?
But once it's up there, it's always up there. People have it. So it's
Right.
kind of a, what do you do? So I think polling your
Well, Claire already said that 2 classes a week would be good for her.
2 classes.
2 classes a
Okay.
week, so maybe a Monday and a Friday.
So
or
get some
something.
other people's input to see what they think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we go on to the next one, the manufactured dining room chair, which is from D. Smith. Thanks so much for these videos. I'm just getting ready to do the upholstery on my dining room chairs, and I was so excited and grateful to find your instructional videos. Remember, the YouTube videos are free.
John and Marie from Ireland are back.
Hey,
Guys.
John! Oh, John, that's great. I look at your calendar, believe it or not.
Anne Marie.
John and Anne Marie.
Yeah, I said Marie. Anne Marie.
Anne Marie.
Yeah.
John and Marie.
Anne. A-N-N-E.
Anne
Not
Marie.
and. Well, I said Marie first. I confused you.
John
Anne Marie and John.
and
There we
okay.
go.
So I would like to say I look at their calendar that they sent us from Ireland almost every day. It's just
Was it a 2021
my-
calendar?
yeah. No, I think it's a
2020.
2020. My wife loves it. It's of all of the Jimmy. You'd like this. It's of the taverns and the pubs of Ireland.
What?
Yeah, and some of the pubs are as old as this country. Before 1776, there's
Yeah.
one pub that's been operating from 1746 all the way to now. Do you believe that?
Wow. See,
Unbelievable.
those are the places you want to visit, even though you might not be. What? An Irishman don't drink? Oh, wait a minute. There's something wrong with that.
Hey, SGA, Randy.
Wow, we have a lot of our people. This is probably it's going to be a great episode, I think, for you guys to tune into because of all the information that we're going to have and the stories. I got a couple of stories. Before I move on, so that was the manufactured dining room chair. I had a customer come in, so we get a lot of, like Randy, who has an upholstery shop right out in Wisconsin, right, Patrick? A little plug for him, right?
Yep.
Because he's been really good to us. I love the letters. I love that he gave Jimmy a tool, Jimmy.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was looking at it the other day and I said, my God, I'm still overwhelmed with that.
So does customer service, is customer service related to how busy you are in your work and your business? And we had people, I think for people who are in business, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you a story. Saturday, I was in my shop. My hours are till 2 o'clock usually on Saturday. I have to tell you, my Saturday, I'm going to give you an idea what my Saturday was like. I had to first be in Boston at a high-rise at the Back Bay, 6 floors. A man lived in a loft, and it was a slipcover to put on a chair that was a completely foam sofa from Europe. I think it was from Scandinavia somewhere. Complete foam. It was a foam. Oh man, I tell you, it was really difficult to put the slipcover on. I mean, one thing doing it, taking the old pattern. Another thing, it had these little ties that 4 ties I had to put through the foam sofa to tie underneath. And if you guys have ever done this, you know what I'm talking about. So the client was watching me the whole time too. He just had his eyes on me the whole time. It was 45 minutes of wrestling this sofa by myself on the floor trying to get this slipcover on, and when it was done, it looked great, fantastic. As a matter of fact, I think I have a picture of it, unless I might have deleted it. I think I did, but So I'm up there on that 6th floor loft. This was how I started my Saturday. I'm up there on the 6th floor loft wrestling this thing, and I was telling my customer. So the reason I'm telling you this, you guys who are wanting to start a business, are stories important about your business? Are the rapport that you have with your customers important? Your good humor, no matter if you're having a bad day. And I was sweating. I'll tell you, I was really struggling. But I kept my cool. I kept my good humor. And I was telling this guy, when I was a young man, I was telling him a story while I was putting this on. It reminded me of wrestling a grizzly bear, a bear, And I was telling this story about how there used to be these shows, and I know that this is, looking back on this now, this is a little cruel for this animal, and I'm just going to tell you the story anyhow. They had a bear with a muzzle, and he didn't have any claws, and it was a sportsman show that used to come into Boston. I think Jimmy might have remembered this sportsman show that used to come into Boston.
Oh yeah, the fishing and
sports show. Well, they had
that was quite the event.
Do you remember the segment where they had the grizzly bear come out and they into the boxing ring and they asked people from the audience if you want to wrestle it? Do you remember that?
Well, I heard about that, but that was pretty early on.
Well, I was a young man. I was only about 18.
Oh.
So I didn't know any better. I didn't know, hey, is this cruel? I wasn't even thinking that way. But when they announced it, all my friends and buddies said, Kevin, you got to go up there and wrestle the bear. And I was telling this guy, this sofa reminded me of this bear, So I was telling the guy that I was in line. I was going to go up. It was like 3 or 4 bigger guys in front of me. Guess what, Jimmy? They might as well have been rag dolls as soon as they got in there. They looked like, the bear was handling them. It didn't matter that he didn't have claws. He was still strong, right?
Oh, of course.
Oh, he was wrapping these guys and throwing them against the ropes. And I said, that's it for me. I didn't even go. And I said to my customer, I can never tell people, I only could tell people that I almost wrestled a bear. Now I can tell them that I came close to wrestling a bear on the 6th floor of a loft in Boston, right? Right, Jimmy?
Yep, you almost did.
I guess I'm telling this story, and I'm going to tell one more story about my Saturday. For all those people starting a business and trying to make those connections with customers. People remember these stories that you tell them. They kind of click. It clicks with them years later. They might be at a cocktail party. Tell you, hey, remember that guy that was in the 6th floor of the loft telling that story? Yeah. It's important to make these connections with your customers. It really is. If it's not natural for you, find some way. Maybe have 10 stories that you kind of memorize and to tell. Or create or experience the stories is the best thing. But it's really important to develop this. And I'll tell you how it made me money Saturday, okay? So in about 2 o'clock, I'm really tired. So this was at 8 o'clock. I get to the shop at 9, and I'm working till 2. About 1:30, a woman comes through the door, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm tired. What's this all about? Because a lot of times people... from walk-ins, it doesn't really materialize very well. But I perked up, and she said, I got a van load of furniture outside. I want to bring it in. I want you to upholster it. I said, she had never sent a text. Usually I want people to text me to avoid problems like this, because usually it doesn't work well. You go out and give them the estimate, and that's it. It was a rental van too. So I said, okay, why don't we go look at it outside first? I was trying to be nice. I went outside. She had 2 wing chairs, and she had 6 really cool mid-century furniture. And the mid-century furniture, she had dining room chairs. They look like, the backs look like a rocket ship. I've never seen chairs like this in my life. They were cool. That's all I can say. So I looked at them. I gave her an estimate, expecting her to say, well, that's too much. And she says, well, okay. Can I bring the furniture in? I said, yeah, I need a deposit. So she came in. She picked fabric in 5 minutes for all of them. She was very nice. We had a great talk. And then she told me, she says, I was at another upholstery shop before I came to you, and they didn't treat me very well. They didn't think I had money. They judged me. I won't tell you what this person looked like, because that's not my job. But I will tell you that the people before me, the upholsterers before me, judged her, and they weren't nice to her, and they certainly didn't have stories to tell her or just to be nice. I mean, just because you don't get money, just because you don't get a job doesn't mean you don't have to be nice. It matters. And in this case, I could tell you that it mattered a few $1,000s. So there you go, you guys. So if you've got an inclination for storytelling, don't be afraid to tell stories. You know, don't be afraid to make bonds with your customers like that at the risk of looking silly. Like we will get to that video that we did recently, Jimmy and I, right, Patrick?
Yeah, that was a good one.
But anyhow, I just wanted to mention that. So 3, any questions or answers? Questions? I'm doing
No,
the
we're caught
answers.
up. We're good.
Any comments?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, so this is about fabric pattern placement, and the comment was something the average person doesn't understand, thanks. So, yeah, I mean, that was a segment on how to place unusual patterns or oversized patterns in your chair. Like Jimmy tortured himself with this job, you guys, with the stripe and the florals. This is a tough job for somebody even in a journeyman where Jimmy is. So, and we'll talk about that when he comes up. So the next one is from
Oh, here's the video.
Frida.
It was Jimmy's comment underneath it.
H.R. Haldeman's sofa, question mark. I don't understand why you said sofa, Patrick, question mark. What's that mean? Or why are you
Oh, it's a
questioning?
mystery.
Are you questioning?
Is it really his?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, I'm just saying, unless we get DNA,
Well,
it's the mystery.
we are treasuries of upholsteries. I'm pretty sure it was his. Because I'm taking the word for
That's what I'm
custom.
saying. It's
Yeah, okay.
up to interpretation.
All right.
We're not making anything up. We're just going by what we were told.
So a man named James Olson from Pots Unknown, he says, you could tell he's a beginner in breaking in. Yeah, I guess so. And then Frida says, I love the introduction, had me laughing my butt off.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy responded to.
And the thumbnail, Patrick, the thumbnail.
You like that?
I think that's going to equal the other one you did, that one for the 1860s chair. Claire says on the edge roll, class number 3.
That was an online class, by the way. That wasn't a YouTube video. She commented.
Okay. We don't get many comments on the online classes, do we, Patrick?
No, but she's here now, so maybe you can help her.
We appreciate that, Claire, and anybody else that wants to comment on online classes, because we don't get many of them. I think this is the first one I can
Well, there's
remember.
no place to comment, I don't think, on the actual page.
Oh.
She commented on the YouTube video. So.
By the way, if you're watching for the first time, or if this is recorded and you're watching it later on, don't forget to check out all of our videos. It still surprises me that people don't know we have a YouTube video channel called Broadway Upholstery, right, Patrick?
Right.
And people are also surprised about the online class.
Yeah, people come into the shop in person, you're talking about.
Right.
No, yeah.
Claire says, hi Kevin, I've looked everywhere and edge roll isn't a product I could buy here in France. Could I make it myself by rolling up a thick fabric and covering it with burlap? You absolutely can do that. Or would it be too dense? No, you need to have it dense. That's actually a good idea, Claire. Also, can't find the equivalent of rubberized horsehair unless I buy from overseas. What do you suggest? You may, being in France, Claire, I know she's in France, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
Claire may be able to find real horsehair more readily in France than here, too, and maybe at a better cost. So remember that the rubberized horsehair is a replacement for real horsehair. Or pig's hair. You can even go to pig's hair. Believe it or not, I got a suggestion for you. If it's a chair, what resembles the horsehair, and it feels like the same thing, Patrick, are the filters for heating systems. Jimmy, would you say that that's true? Those filters that they use for heating systems that you buy, you insert into the old furnaces, they're usually the older furnaces.
Yeah, they are. Like a Dacron.
They almost look like, to me, the horsehair. Maybe you can use that. I think, Claire, that's how they used to make edge roll, getting back to the edge rolls. They used to hand make it almost in the same fashion that you're talking about, except that they used to use horsehair, but you can use rolled up fabric. Remember, the whole thing about the edge roll is it's only there to protect from the edge of the wood, the fabric, and to also build up a little bit on the seat, on the front edge of seats. So that's the only thing you're doing with those. So I think I love the idea of your problem solving, and that's a big thing in upholstery is problem solving. as we know, right, guys? So now Sylvia says, I love the sense of humor you all have, and that's with the H.R. Haldeman sofa. And then
make sure you get Jimmy's comment.
yeah, there's another fella here, another
very rude comment.
Another James Olsen. I don't know if it's the same one or if there's multiple James Olsens. God help us if there is more than one. He says, "Can we start a GoFund for some acting? A GoFundMe, see? I read that right, Jimmy. Let me read that again.
No, that was right.
No, I mean, can we start a GoFund?
It usually says GoFundMe.
A GoFund.
Jimmy messed that up.
Just trying to miss
You had it right.
my thespian.
Well, I didn't know you were an English major.
Don't you know that I am a thespian?
You're a thespian.
I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
You're a second-class criminal, you.
Can we start a GoFundMe for some acting
I
classes?
guarantee that wouldn't raise any money.
Jimmy's trying to be the comedian.
Before you go to the next one, I'm going to catch you up here. Randy says he loves the people who can make a decision in 5 minutes.
Yeah, really.
So do we.
Really.
And then Lucas has a good one. I'm going to reupholster a Hans Wagner daybed soon. I was wondering if Kevin knows any fabric close to Hallingdal 65. I don't know how to spell it. It's Kvadrat. Michaela might be.
I think that's poor Michaela
It's
question.
a Michaela question.
She can research that, definitely.
Lucas, I'll have Michaela research that. And,
But you've got a very expensive piece there.
he
though.
said I'm a bit over my budget on the project, and Hallingdal is a little expensive at the moment.
See, this is one of the problems with pricing. I know I've done a couple of videos on the pricing, and I did want to mention going back to Saturday, that sofa. You know, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, because I'm honest with you guys about pricing. I charged that customer $2,100 for that slipcover, and guess what? That slipcover took 30 hours. 30 hours, and I'm not even counting the delivery and the installation. So really, in reality, 32 hours. I get $80 an hour. Figure out the math. I didn't get enough. But here's the thing about pricing and how it's so tricky. The customer balked originally in the estimate. He had a chair and a sofa. He balked at the sofa and said, "Well, I'm only going to do the chair." So I crossed out the price on the sofa and we did the chair. And then he called later and did the sofa. But there's an example of what the market will bear. No, bear, B-E-A-R, not. I mean, we're talking about grizzly bears, and I know my Boston accent comes out sideways with that word. Sorry about that, you guys. But so there's an example of, was I happy with the price that I got? I guess so. I know that I underpriced it, but I was at the maximum that the customer, and this was a good customer in a good neighborhood, and high end, and I just barely, I think, got the job, because don't forget, he had to pay for the fabric too. Well, the job was more than that. That was just a labor charge. So there you are. I mean, we're not like plumbers. Plumbers such a necessity too. I mean, a plumber goes into a house and every minute of his time is clocked. His travel time to the apartment would have been charged. His travel time in the house, his supplies, his cost of materials, every minute would have been accounted for. And this time, I believe, back to the shop. So every minute of his time was counted for. We simply can't do that. Why can't we do that? Well, I'm not an economist, but I can give my opinion about why we really don't get what we want in upholstery specifically. First of all, the services between a plumber and upholstery, the necessity of plumbing. You got a clogged pipe, you have to call a plumber. Most people aren't going to do their own plumbing. I mean, let's face it, especially people with a little bit of money. And they can't complain, they got to get it done. With us in upholstery, our competition for many, many, many years has been overseas in the new furniture market. So I'm constantly battling people with pricing and really giving sad news about my pricing to people whose price points are so off the chart low because of the IKEAs and, can I say that, Patrick? And the other brand names that we have in the Boston area that you probably are familiar with, the low points. People, I'm getting calls probably 3 or 4 times a week with people with the faux leathers peeling off their sofa. I want you to fix it. Okay, then I'll have it upholstered. And they can't believe the upholstery costs to redo something like that. And I never get those jobs because they're already set the bar so low that no salesman in the world is going to convince them otherwise that that's something that they want to do. So I guess I got off on a little bit of a sidetrack on that, but I guess pricing. Why was I talking about pricing, Patrick, with the question that somebody just had? I don't know. I lost.
Yeah, about the fabric.
About the
But
fabric.
we researched that too, and
About that fabric, right?
Yeah.
And about how he commented that, you know, he doesn't know if he got enough, something like that. H.R. Haldeman Sofa Treasuries Upholstery. Randy says, great sense of humor and good words of wisdom. Was that the original upholstery on the love seat? I don't think it was. From the video, it looks like the frame may be much older. Yes, it was, Randy. The frame's much older. That definitely is a fabric that was probably upholstered for him in his office in the White House. So H.R. Haldeman would be the chief of staff, which was a newer position. I didn't realize this, a newer position in the White House. He was the firewall. He used to call him the firewall between the press and everybody else and Nixon. So that would have been one of his probably personal pieces that he took from home, had it reupholstered in definitely a 70s fabric, and it probably was sitting in Patrick's thumbnail, by the way. I think was that a real? I mean, was that?
The picture was real, though.
The picture was real, but
I don't think you were there, though. You probably
No.
alive today.
But the sofa.
Unless you traveled back in time.
You photobombed the sofa in there
That's
too,
in the
right?
corner. That was just the
Okay.
picture.
Because I did research. I tried to find it in a
Imagine
picture.
if you saw it in the White House, like a picture.
Yeah, I did try to find it, but I didn't. But I suspect that it was there. And that tape we found was real, you guys. It doesn't seem possible. I got it right up here. It's going back to the customer. Maybe the customer can get something off of it. I don't know. Let them do that. Janine says, great fun segment on the H.R. Haldeman sofa. Then we got another comment from William Shatner. Wow.
That's a funny comment.
William Shatner says, I fully expected you to find Jimmy Hoffa's wristwatch in that pocket. Wasn't William Shatner. It was William something else.
Pretty soon he gets that talking about that story with the fly again, so that's all right.
Well, no, that story's old. And Shalia says, on the fixing a pop button, how do you clean velvet? Cleaning velvet. I am not an expert on cleaning, but velvet cleans, I suppose, just like any other fabric. You need to know the codes. If it's water, solvent, if it's dry clean, if it's dry cleanable, forget about it. I don't think any velvet would be dry clean code. But any respectable upholstery cleaner would know how to do that. I wouldn't do it yourself if you're going to try doing it. I wouldn't clean with one of those machines that you can get a velvet sofa for sure, right, Jimmy? So, oh boy, what's this, Jimmy Patrick? This is well, we're doing.
No, you skipped one.
I did?
Yeah, from Doctor.
Doctor, that's the next page. Yeah, this is from Fixing a Pop Button. This is interesting. I love this when we can save people money. Dr. Smith, or Synth, Pattern. That's an unusual name, isn't it? You just saved me 50 British pounds for a sofa refurb call-out. Thank you. That was for Fixing a Pop Button. You're welcome. Hey, we saved 50 pounds, Jimmy. Now if I can
How
only...
much is that in U.S. money?
50 pounds, I think, well, I'm trying to think of the conversion. I think right now the English money is worth more. So that's probably about $70 maybe, I'm guessing.
Well, that's still some money.
All right, now we got a long one. This is unusual, right, Pat?
Are they a local?
How to upholster padding a chair. They're local?
Yeah, they live in Western Mass.
So this is from GM Andre, right? So I'm a recent subscriber, I assume, to the YouTube channel, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
In my mid-60s, retired, and have really taken to rescuing furniture. I've redone a number of pieces. Amazing what fine, solid wood furniture from early 1900s to the 1950s finds itself destined for the curb, flea markets, and garage sales. While I've made some mistakes, I've never again attempted a painted spindle chair. Now a gorgeous solid white maple, nickels and stone, and the Sam Maloff finish. But that black and gold paint was a nightmare. I must be doing something right as my 3 children continue to take turns placing dibs on my projects. I have never contemplated doing upholstery until now. I recently came from a 1910 to 1920 mission-style Stratford chair company, furniture manufacturer out of Ontario, Canada, in quarter-sewn white oak and a lighter stain than typical mission furniture. Stripping all the mold. Well, sorry guys, this is going to go on and on. I'm not sorry for the comment. It's one of the longest ones I think we've gotten, Patrick.
Oh, that's good.
But I think it's very informative, very well written. I'm a little jealous because I have it up here, but when it comes to putting it down like he does, not so good. A frustrated writer, I guess. Stripping all the moldy horsehair, batting, burlap, padding, and fabric. A good cleaning, light sanding, and stain restoration revealed a beautiful frame. Whew! Did you say a mouthful with that one, huh, Pat?
Yeah. I think we need Michaela. She does good at reading.
The seat back had 4 loosely tacked slim slats. Say that 10 times fast. But I'm contemplating replacing those slats with web strapping similar to what you did with that seat. Now okay. The seat, however, has 3 zigzag springs, which are pretty solid and properly tied with jute string. I'd appreciate your thoughts on replacing those springs with webbing, and whether or not it is worth filling and sanding all of those tack holes in the frame. Your video is outstanding. You are not only a true craftsman, but an outstanding instructor. And I must appreciate you offering those of us on YouTube land the opportunity to learn. If this upholstery thing gets to me, I live in Western Massachusetts, I may be asking for an estimate. Take care, sir. Oh, that's very nice and respectful. I appreciate that.
I think you can just go to the next one because it's the same person if you want to
it's
read
the same.
that back to back. Yeah. I don't have that one up here.
And then, well, let's answer that question about the zigzag springs. I'm not a big fan of zigzag springs, Jimmy. What did we do on your piece? Do you remember, Jimmy?
All plumb, baby.
So Jimmy had zigzag, and this is great. Is he watching right now, Andre?
I don't know.
Let's take off the top. Let's show the.
Let's grab a pair of scissors, and I want you treasures of upholstery.
It'll take a few minutes to put it back together.
Yeah, we can kind of, the blind stitch. I think we can give a class some blind stitch.
Wow, can you imagine, Jimmy?
Oh.
Anyhow, we don't like zigzag springs. We actually took the zigzag springs out of this. I would take the zigzag springs and web it. I wouldn't be fooling with it. Eventually they break. They either snap in half. They either pull the frame apart because there's so much tension on those things. They're not in. The engineering on them isn't great. All of the tension's put on the front rail. And it really does do numbers wreaks havoc on the frame. They weren't a great design. They were trying to speed up the process of upholstering in the 50s. They invented this, maybe even the 40s. It was a replacement for coil springs, not a good thing. So let's read the next. Hope that answers his question on that. And then he goes on to say ply grip. Ply grip uses. This, Patrick, we're talking about this, you guys.
Yeah.
We think that this is going to make a great series of videos on YouTube, free, about the uses of different materials. Patrick's idea. And the more I think about it, it's kind of brilliant because it focuses just one video was ply grip. Let's read his comment first. Whoever invented that deserved a bonus. It would seem to me to be a real time saver over the old cardboard tack strip. And you, sir, are a genius artist. Thank you. I also get a kick out of your outlook on that fabric driving you crazy. Question, will ply grip work with leather? So you wouldn't use ply grip on leather. You would actually use an alternative called edge. Hold on a second. I can't think. Maybe Randy can help me with this one. It's the thicker of the two. I don't want people using it though. Only on leather. You wouldn't use the ply grips too thin. It does most all fabrics, but on leather, I noticed that you need the thick stuff. Curvies is the thick stuff, and I don't want to mention that too much because people would assume the curvies that by the name would be the better of the two to use on fabric, but don't get mixed up. Ply grip is the best thing to use on fabric. It's a two-prong. The other one is a three-prong, very heavy, but you probably do need that for the leather. And you can use it for leather, certainly. I would use the ply grip. I hope that answers this question. But I was trying to make a point. Oh, so we're going to have a series of videos on the different materials. We'll go right through the alphabet on our website probably.
Randy likes the idea of that. I said, yes.
Yeah, just different uses for ply, like even burlap, you guys. There's different ways of putting it on that I could do. These wouldn't be long videos. How long was? Do you remember how long the ply grip video was, Patrick?
That was longer because I got ply grip 101.
That was a little bit longer, but most of them wouldn't be that long, and that's okay. Whatever they are, they are. But okay, well, before we get,
Denise said, recently stripped down a chair with those exact problems: front rail slightly bowed and pulled away from the front legs. Zigzag springs are gone.
Yeah, a good idea. The foam that we have today, that if you get a really decent foam to replace that with, the high density foam, you can actually get a better outcome than the I wouldn't say coil springs, than the zigzag springs. Just make sure you use a high quality foam in there, and you'll be okay. I did want to mention. What was I going to mention? Well, I lost my train of thought before I got on. How many? Is there any comments, Patrick?
That was the recent one, Denise.
So if you guys have realized, I just want to mention something. When I do these question and answers, I do have some props, but a lot of what this isn't staged, right, Patrick? I don't have cue cards.
No.
Okay, so we're kind of flying on the seat of my.
Maybe you should though, because stay on track more.
Well, I apologize if I do go off track, but people have said that. It's funny how Jimmy works for a subway system, and we always get off track, right? Well, you'd think that we would be on track.
Listen to that one.
And every once in a while, he falls in the third rail.
I gotta be
Keep
kidding.
the lights out. Give me a minute.
But I wanted to get to some of the inquiries I've had lately on. I think people have commented about how this is good for them, that they like this. We have a live. Well, that's us. I was going to say do that every time. I saw a YouTube comment. It's from Patrick, and he just left the building. Patrick has left the building.
It's about time you get rid of him. I never liked him anyway, so.
So let's go down to that one over like a lead balloon. So this is interesting. So I talk a little bit about adult ed and about how, especially if you're building a business, how important it is to get your name out there, to get yourself out into the community, and to just, even if you're not making and receiving work orders, teaching people is a great way to do that. And back in the spring of 2019, I was contacted by the local people, and they were wondering if I would be interested in teaching a live class. And at that time, we were in the middle of offering online classes. We already bought the equipment. We were already well into the YouTube channel, but we thought that would be progressing into a great online class, which we did. And remember, this was before 2019. So I just wanted to read the director of the local program contacted me. I don't have to tell her name. And she said, I hope you are doing well. Good to see your Constant Contact promoting your business. At that time, we were using Constant Contact. I have to say, you guys, I don't think Constant Contact works great for me. I think that there's much better ways of advertising, I think. I'll tell you why. I think Constant Contact takes all your emails. I know you can select what you want, but you never do that. You use all your emails, and you're contacting customers that have already done work or didn't want to do work, and sometimes they get aggravated at getting emails, and they want to be taken off the list and everything. I'm done with that, but that's not why I'm reading this. I'm wondering if you can offer your class again this fall. We so enjoyed collaborating with you, and I know your students were really happy. We did a lot of work through the local community. At our shop, some upholstery, I should mention this, you guys, and I think I know Janine was going to do this. I wonder if she can update us on that. But sometimes they let you, if you partner with the local adult ed, they'll let you teach on site, not in the school. So that might work out for some people better, because then people see your operation. And you're making these ties, and ties that last. I've had customers come in from 20 years ago that I used to teach. So this is really good stuff, you guys. they're talking about the term, and then let's see. She says, I was talking to her about that, and then I said, well, people can register. We could give them a discount rate. They can have a code. They can take the same classes that you guys like Janina take in the online classes. And I wasn't at that time. That was May in 2019. Wasn't quite ready to offer those through her. Then she contacts me today, and she says, I hope you are doing well and managed to stay healthy and safe during this strange time. I just read this email exchange, and everyone in the office, and we were laughing out loud because you were cutting edge with offering online classes way back in the spring of 2019! Exclamation point. So the other thing is, how did, were you thinking that there was going to be something like the pandemic or something? I don't know. But it was great timing, I think, because there was a lot of people like Janine in lockdowns that were, and all. And I think she took advantage of the online classes at that time. Could have been the only opportunity that she would have had. The schools were even closed, never mind the adult ed. So I'm really proud of the fact that our timing was really good on this. That's what I'm saying. So they're asking me again, am I teaching this? They're asking, will you do the online classes through us, or maybe we could connect with them? Patrick needs to work this out. I'm not sure if he's going to do it because there's not. We'll see. But I think it's just so complimentary. I'm complimented by this, and I just thought I'd mention it to you guys. This was today, so that's interesting. Jimmy, can you just check? I don't know what happened to Patrick. Can you check to see if there's any comments on there? I appreciate it.
Nope.
Okay. So I got another. We're just checking to make sure there's no comments while you were out, Patrick.
Oh, that Jimmy was going to be up.
Not yet.
And stuff.
Well, is this a paid position if I'm a director?
Oh, now Jimmy's he's in an office chair, so he's associating that with money now. But remember, that chair.
I didn't get the stock report. You guys keep pulling that away from me. I don't know what the story is with that.
All right, he's a funny man. All right, so Joyce, this is a customer I just did some work for, and full disclosure here, you guys, right? So she says, I love the chairs, but, when it says but, that's a big problem. She's wondering, there's one chair that looked a little bit off, and I remember the fabric that I put on this. It was an overall to me. It wasn't really something that you pay attention to lining up an overalls. So she picked up the fact that one of them was slightly off a little bit. I mean, really hyper-focused, but that's okay. And so good-naturedly, and she's complimenting me, and then she says, oh, there's this chair. She's got a picture of it. It's a little bit off. Can you do anything about it? Of course, bring it back. Usually, just FYI, when somebody has a problem with me, it's the first thing I do. I take care of it. I just get it done. And sometimes those little problems that you have in business and how you handle them.
No big box hobby and craft store foam. We agree.
Much better. What was that?
Randy says no big box store foam.
It's terrible. It's off-gassing and everything. It's terrible.
Oh, sorry. Did you already talk about that?
That would have been sent earlier.
No.
Yeah.
So only get the best, you guys. If you're going to offer foam, only offer the best. Forget about everything else. Forget about all these. You know what? It's very simple, you guys. Go with the best foam, the high-density foam. The Cal 117 graded, all that, and not white foam, and offer medium. Most of the time, medium is going to suit almost every application. Once in a while, somebody says, I had a woman with a broken hip. She doesn't want the medium. She wants the ultra firm, which is fine. Doesn't happen a lot, but it's the same it's the same density foam. It's the same quality, but you can get it in three. You can get it in soft, medium, and extra firm. They call it. It's the medium that I use most everything. Keep it simple. You can bookend Dacron wrap it, or you can. I usually recommend that actually bookend. It sounds good too. Bookend Dacron wrap. That's what we offer on the website, Upholstery on Broadway website. You guys can go to that and check that out. See the nice fine job that Patrick gets compliments on many times by many people who do that for a living. And I know Patrick could do that for a living and do very well, by the way. But he's chosen to work with his dad He may be wearing platform shoes too soon, huh? Huh, Jimmy?
Who?
Patrick.
I don't need them. Tell them.
Patrick?
Patrick's already tall. He doesn't need the platform shoes. All right, so
I just wanted to say that from Randy's comment, me and Michaela unfortunately had to go shopping at one of those big box stores recently for a project we were doing.
oh yeah,
Because sometimes you need to get a cheap fabric.
that's true. That's true. Patrick was putting a headline. What do they call that? A headliner?
The headliner, yeah.
A headliner on his Jeep, and he picked up plaid. That is a very lightweight, cheap plaid, but that's what you needed to glue to make sure that it held. An upholstery fabric wouldn't have worked on that bad.
Yeah, it was the first time it would be too good.
It's
Usually
too
they don't
good,
say
too
that.
heavy.
Usually
It
they
will
don't
fall
say that.
down. But Patrick did a great job. People ask me all the time, do you do car upholstery? I say no because you need a bay. It's a little bit of a different setup. Same applications for sure. But
It had the pleats and everything.
Patrick did the what?
It had the pleats at the end. You had to do the when you folded it over.
Well, tell him exactly what you did. So this was a Jeep Cherokee 2000 that he had to take the lights off, the dome lights,
Everything off.
all up to the top. But then I didn't know there was an extra piece. What was that, cardboard in there?
That's the actual headliner.
That's the actual headliner. So Patrick had to take that off, and he had to scrape off the old. What was that you were scraping?
Spray, like a spray foam.
Oh, the spray foam. He had to scrape off and vacuum to make sure there was nothing left. And then he bought that special plaid. Think
From
of
an
it.
unmentionable store.
An unmentionable store. Think kilt. Jimmy, don't think too
Which does
hard.
Michaela offer any plaid? I don't know if she does. She might, right?
Oh yeah. And
Is
then
that basic one? I didn't
and
know
then
that.
he asked me to help only on one thing, on the spray glue. When you put, we use the 77 spray glue,
Which
is
we
what
use for our foam.
Yeah, which is what they said. I don't know where Patrick must have got the YouTube video or something. And so everything's off now. So we sprayed the glue, made sure that the temperature was appropriate. We were outside doing it, even. It took two people to pull the plaid and just to kind of like let it fall on top of the glue, the tacky glue at that point,
And not stretch.
and then not
No
stretch it.
stretching.
But then take. We had a couple of pleats that we had to lift before it dried. Lift the plaid up. We should have done a YouTube video on
I
this.
know. Well, they already had a ton of them up there. But
Yeah, I know.
From an upholsterer, that kind of would have been cool.
Yeah, and then we had to fold it over the liner, and then Patrick put the liner back and put all the wiring in there and everything else, right, Patrick?
It was actually really fun. I liked it.
It came out fantastic, you guys. That was,
I'll get a picture of it.
yeah. So if he could do a liner, he can do the side panels. He can do the seats. He could do anything.
Seats are a little more complicated.
But seats they make kits, on that. They do have kits with the seats. Did you know that?
So maybe next time somebody asks you for auto upholstery, you'll do it.
I don't want to get into that. It's a whole different thing, though, Patrick. You need to pull the car into a garage. I don't have a garage.
Lucas has one last question. Did he post the plans for the sawhorses that he uses on the shop on the Facebook group? I remember he discussed that a while back. Did you ever post You did a video, didn't you?
Well, I don't think I have the plans for that.
I thought there was a video we did.
We don't
I
have.
know that's one of the top questions you got.
Well, we have a guy. Actually, you know what? Is Randy? Where's Randy?
That's Lucas.
Lucas. Where's Lucas out of?
I think he's overseas, Belgium. I think he's from. I think so. Right.
Let me see if I can find a contact number for him. I have somebody in the Boston area that contacted me, and he makes these wood horses, and I just wanted to give
Well,
him.
if he has plans, he can just download the plans.
Well, no, this guy makes money. He charges $80 to $100.
That's going to cost a lot of money to get that shit overseas.
Yeah, no, that's not a good thing for him. No, I'm not a woodworker.
All we could do is take pictures of it.
Yeah, I'm not a woodworker, and I think we gave the measurements for them one
You
time.
did do that. I remember
Yeah.
where it was.
But I don't have plans. Sorry, Lucas.
Because you just order them yourself. You
Right,
don't make them.
right. So I think that takes. How long have we been going, Patrick?
Belgium, I was right. Good.
How long have we been
You gonna
going?
take Jimmy up there?
I want to know how long we've been going.
Almost an hour.
Wow, we've been going for an hour. I hope I
wants
don't
to-
bore you
If he wants
guys.
to do something, I'll go.
Jimmy wants to come up. I need Jimmy to come up to talk about this because we need to spend the rest of the time talking about the online classes.
He's asleep. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jimmy, come on up here, my
Jimmy
friend.
had a long day today. Hopefully he'll fall
Yeah,
I
asleep.
did have a long day.
Jimmy did have a long day. He's a good sport, though, but he worked 2 hours on this today, Jimmy.
Yeah, Lucas, I said do a DIY or something
So,
like that.
Jimmy, why don't you talk about what you did today?
Oh, God, yes. So,
Before you do that,
Yeah.
Randy's actually going to help you out. You sent Randy the plans at one point.
I did, Randy.
So
Would you
he's going
send
to
them?
forward them.
Oh, great. Thank you, Randy.
Hey, Randy, forward that back to us, and I'll send it to Lucas if he wants to send me his information.
Are you ready to talk, Jimmy?
are we ready?
Have another.
We're good
Have
now.
another drink.
Just don't sit down on that, you'll fall asleep.
I will.
I like the way you're starting to showcase those channels on the top, which was most of the work is on the top of those channels.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know,
on.
it took a lot for you and I, mostly you, to, you know, even everything out, and that was one of the, I think, one of the big lessons of this channel back, because if you can look at it, you'll see how
Isn't that
even
beautiful?
it is.
Isn't that beautiful, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, when I took it apart, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be, again, I hadn't done anything like this in about
Yeah.
8 years, so
Yeah.
it was
Turn
quite,
it completely around. Let them look at the piping that you put on. So, Jimmy, before we put on a piping in today's class, we got a lot done in today's class.
yeah, so this is
Look how straight that piping is. And we're going to turn it back just to let people see that we talk a lot about transition lines in upholstery. So Jimmy worked very hard before he stapled these channels to either trim out cotton with your hands,
Mhm.
which sometimes can be tough with cotton. 'cause it
well, this
doesn't
was
tear
all,
very well.
this cotton was old, so.
But when you layer cotton, even the new one that we show how to make a new channel, which is interesting.
Yeah,
But when you start layering cotton and then you go to try to trim it, it's really tough.
it is.
So he either had to do that or add, not cotton, but what did you use to add with, Jimmy? Do you remember?
No. What do we?
Dacron.
Dacron, that's
Because
right. I was
Dacron
thinking
as an
something else.
additive to cotton meshes in there better than actual cotton as an additive. So those little tips you get in the online classes, and if you're looking for the first time at us and you're wondering what the difference is between the YouTube classes, the question and answer, and the online classes, those is that.
Okay.
Is that we go into great detail. I mean, how long did we spend on this? This is a lot.
Good 5 hours.
Yeah.
3 to 5 hours.
So bring it up and let's talk about what else you did today on the outsides.
Well, we did we finished up the wing, the out wing, and had to shape that out a little bit, as you can see.
What do we have to do to line up the stripe? See, you picked a stripe which was a little harder to do. We could
Yes, this is a lesson learned. Again, you know,
Right.
one of the when doing a project, you always say, "Oh, I like a particular color for a product, a chair, an ottoman, whatever it might be." But with this, if you look, you'll see how the stripes are almost lined up here, and even as well as we did here is, you know, matching the pattern plus the stripe as well, making it all one.
So our focus was we had to actually put half of the arm on first to make sure that we would line up the wing.
Right.
If you had a solid fabric, we could have just done the wing and then did the arm.
Yeah.
But the way we had to do it. Another reason why the online classes, you won't see this, and I don't care who's doing the YouTube videos, me or anybody, you're not going to see something like this. They're not going to show you something like this. Because what we had to do, problem solve. I even was going to do this first. I said, oh, wait a minute. We had to actually get the arm on. Our focus was to match as well as we can the arm here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put it on only halfway. We left this open. And then we pin tacked this over here. And then we matched the wing to make sure that we got really close, if not exact.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's from the floor. Everything's from the floor up. So that was interesting. But then you had another problem. I don't know if you remember the other problem you had in here. Look at this funny transition.
Yeah.
You have a trim going around here,
Mm-hmm.
but then you had this blind tacked here. We had to do that to make that look good because our outside back comes this way. You see, guys, it's about aesthetics. It's about making sure something looks right. If we didn't put this piping in and we just upholstered this and then you just hand stitch this, not so good.
Right.
The piping makes it look professionally done. But that was hard, so we had to put that on first before we put anything else on.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
And then what did you tell people how you had put the wing on? How did you do that? How did you put the outside wing on? What was the first thing you did?
We used the tack strip.
Underneath, but talk about how hard that was to flip it up.
Yes, I mean, one of the things you have to do, because we had put the trimming in here, was to line up this piece of fabric right up in here, and then a couple of staples, but then put the tack strip as well and make it all flush right up there. And
so it's called blind tacking. So
yes.
The term
Again,
describes the difficulty you have.
That's going to have to be for a future class. There has to be some lessons
well, we could
learned.
do that. We can actually, Jimmy, when we talk about with Patrick's new idea with those new videos, you would be surprised. Look at that. It's a piece of simple cardboard, half-inch tack
and
tape.
this supports.
But look what it does. Look how beautiful transition that it does. Without that, you're not going to get that beautiful transition.
No, I don't even know how you'd even do it without it. I have no idea.
Well, you could hand stitch it, but you still need if you're going to hand stitch it.
You'd hand stitch it to what, this here?
You could hand stitch it to the welting, you could. Okay. You still need to use the tack tape on the welting in order to make sure that doesn't pull away when you hand stitch it. So that little piece of tack tape, does a lot.
This little piece of cardboard.
And you used it here too to get this nice line.
Yes.
They say, why didn't you put a piping across here? Well, why do you think? It wouldn't look good. You'd only have a little piece of piping here. Yeah. So you gotta know what looks good.
Again, the aesthetics of what.
And then you asked a question, why didn't we put it all on one piece?
Well, what I was wondering, because we probably could have done it.
Would have been a nightmare. So it would have been really hard to do.
What I suggested to Kevin, and I, again, not knowing, was to why didn't we cut this piece here?
Make it a full piece.
Make it a full.
So one reason is you waste a lot of fabric. But the other reason is it can be done, and it is done.
Okay.
Okay.
But again, if that was fabric with no pattern.
If it was a fabric with no pattern, you could still do it.
Okay.
But the putting it on is a really tough job, and even for a journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
But what it would require, I'll take you through the steps. Let's say you use your fabric.
Okay.
So you'd be pin tacking it everywhere, and then at this point you couldn't do this. You couldn't blind tack this like you did with being separate. It's impossible. Something has to be blind tacked, and this is what you want to blind tack.
Okay.
So this would have to be pin tacked all around. Then you would have to make a cut from this area like this, down like this.
Okay.
Right to that point.
Okay.
Then trim this way.
Okay.
Fold this, and this would have to be hand stitched underneath the arm.
Oh my God.
So that's the difference. That's a little hard to do. And you don't have much control over the stripe a lot of times when you do that. So this was the best way to do this in sections like this, for your fabric especially. So those are the decisions. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the progression?
Well, the progression I think will be done this week.
We think that we're going to be finishing this up, and this will be offered. Boy, when will this be offered, Patrick? In the spring.
So that far ahead? I'll be on the unemployment line again?
Let's hope not.
I can't wander down Main Street only so many times, guys.
People are going to $10,000 out of this chair.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. This is the old Al Capone chair.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. In the Boston area, Jimmy, there were two upholsterers who made careers and were upholstering for many, many years, 50, 60 years. Two separate upholsterers. They both had a claim to fame on a piece of furniture they did. One was John F. Kennedy's rocking chair.
Oh, wow.
An upholsterer made a whole career on that, on just doing his rocking chair.
Wow.
And the other one made a whole career on guess whose chair he upholstered.
Howie Winter.
Far from it. Pope Paul II.
Kidding.
Chair.
Wow.
His throne. So his throne when he came to visit Boston, where he sat when he came to visit Boston.
Oh wow!
When he was doing the mass.
How do you get it?
He's just a guy. He's just a local upholsterer who was just one day they asked probably who's the upholsterer to use. He just luck, and he got the job. But he used that, and well, he should,
Mhm.
for many, 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 many years, as that's his claim to fame.
Well, that put him on
So,
the map. I
that's
mean, it's
right.
nice. It's nice
That's
that
right.
you have.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are still waiting for that.
Yeah, I
moment.
can't get everything, right?
I know. You can be the YouTube king of the upholsterers or something. You know, we can give you some time there to maybe
Yeah.
catch on to something.
But this isn't all about me, Jimmy. This is all about you right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Jimmy, what else you want to talk about the chair? About
Well, I mean, this
you-
was quite the experience with regard to not just the channel back itself, but a lot of cutting in this, and it was a little bit of, cutting around the arms, of course to the sides, and of course to the upper sides.
let's show people live. I'm taking a chance now on that. One of the difficult parts. This chair was not made what I would call upholsterer friendly,
Okay.
because of things like this. I mean, you got a straight line coming this way, and all of a sudden it comes up like that.
Right.
Fabric doesn't like that very much. You went a little bit too far on that. I'm just going to trim this back a little
I
bit.
can't see.
I'm going to trim this back, and I'm going to take care. See that little staple right there?
Yeah.
Let's get that out of there.
Should be there in the second drawer. Everything, the lower drawer. Don't hurt yourself. There is no workman's comp in upholstery.
I don't know what I do with it.
They threw it all in
Here
there.
it is. Let me just get this out of here. See, it's hard to.
You're in front.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of a staple. Hey, I think that will be okay. The trim will go around that. But this is what my focus is. You see that right there? That actually has to be cut and drawn up here. You see the problem here, you guys? Fortunately, Jimmy left enough. Hopefully, he left enough of a underneath there. Guess what?
We didn't.
You got a problem here.
Oh.
So next week, we're gonna have to do this arm over again.
Okay.
But no, that's not a bad thing, you guys. Mistakes, you learn a
No,
lot.
we keep everything in. That's one thing you should mention. We try to keep as much as possible
What?
with the mistakes.
That's
And
right.
It's part of the whole thing.
Jimmy's a good sport. He doesn't mind highlighting all the mistakes he makes.
Look at him.
But this is a problem because trim doesn't come around here. Okay, so we can replace the arm. We have plenty of fabric. don't
Yes,
worry.
we do.
Well, that's another
So-
good point. They should make sure to watch till the end of every episode. So
Yeah,
there
because
are mistakes that happen.
some people
Yeah.
could get hurt. When
That's what I'm saying. If you follow one thing, it might not be. It's important to watch the whole class.
yes.
Then they can prevent those mistakes.
Yes.
But a customer would never accept that if we just
Of course
kinda,
not.
that it's
You
too
could-
big to cut. I can't hide it in any way. So.
No. I
So,
mean,
who knows how that happened? It's maybe a saboteur came in here.
maybe an upholsterer who doesn't know what he's doing.
Like in that tape we did the other day through that door with the mad scissors and did, I don't know. But anyhow, Jimmy, I know that you've lost some focus because you're on your personal phone there.
No, I'm trying
We
to
are
take
live.
I would like to.
No, we'll be getting one next week. Don't worry.
And we're going to have Jimmy close out while he's doing his personal
I
stuff.
taking a picture of his chair.
While
Yeah, I
he's taking it-
can't. My God, I don't have too much time for myself today. But anyway, so next week we will have this all taken care of. You will see everything being done. We had just the back to do, and of course the trimming around both sides, front and back. And with that said,
We'll be sure to show that in next week's.
yes,
Q&A.
we're gonna have a couple of pictures. I think Patrick will be able to have some pictures taken for
I like to keep the last picture as a surprise for the class, but we could show it if they want to see it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's always off,
we'll
so.
have some things done, and everyone will see it when it's all said and taken care of with the trimming again, with all that it has to be finished up, and that Kevin left behind, and Kevin's now playing with the lights, and obviously he thinks it's time to go home, so it's probably past his bedtime. So with that said, everyone have a good week, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good night now.
Thanks, guys.